Hello friends, I'm back! So today I am talking about my 2022 reading goals. So as you can probably tell, I'm feeling very positive about what this year is going to bring. You know, we've had 2 years of this nonsense and it might still be going for a while yet, or it probably will be going for a while yet, but it's time to take our happiness into our own hands. Like, I can't just sit around and be sad about the state of the world. I want to make this the year that I get stuff done. So that brings me to my first goal, which is channel related. It's kind of twofold. First, I want to just post more regularly. I don't know what my schedule will be yet. I might for a month or two be just still trying to kind of find the balance between making the content and finding time to make the content, but I am going to be actively filming a lot more and putting out a lot more content. And then my other goal with that is to make creative content. You know, I went to film school. I have a lot of knowledge about filming things, and I have a lot of creative drive to make things that are more interesting, and I like learning new things, and I want to share those things with people. And I'm really interested in storytelling. That is my biggest passion. That's why I'm here doing BookTube as opposed to something else. So I want to combine that. I have a couple ideas that I'm really excited about. I don't want to get into them. They're going to be bigger, more ambitious projects. So you might not see anything that's like super, super creative until maybe like halfway through the year. I really have no idea how long it's going to take. I have to read a pretty fat book to get the meat of my content that I'm going to do. So we'll see when I finish that and have all my research done. But I'm really excited for this project that I want to do. So yeah, I just want to do more things that I'm really excited about. And of course, I have some pretty good reading goals as well. And you probably saw the title and said, the year of the mashed potato, what the hell does that mean? And if you listen to the Books Unbound podcast, you already know what I'm talking about. And the Books Unbound podcast is hosted by Ariel Bissett and Raylene LeMay, who you might be familiar with if you are familiar with BookTube. And I'll link the podcast below. It's great. I highly recommend it. But they have this term that's really fun that's become like a staple of the podcast. We talk about mashed potato books. And it's the idea that, like, myself included, I mean, not everybody's not the same, but some people, like Ariel, Raylene, and myself, save a little part of their meal for last because it's so good they want to eat it last. And it's the mashed potatoes. So we call it the mashed potato book because it's a book that you're just waiting for the right moment to read it, and it seems to never come. I'm sure everybody's thought of that book that they have that they're just waiting to read, and they just haven't gotten to it yet because they haven't found the right moment. So I have some of those that I need to get to. It's not a whole lot, but it is kind of ambitious when you hear what it is. So first is the sequel / companions to The Hate You Give. So On the Come Up and Concrete Rose. The Hate You Give I read in 2020 and it blew me away. It was one of the best books I read of that year. One of the best books I've ever read. I absolutely loved it. So of course, I've been very excited to read On the Come Up and Concrete Rose, but I don't want it to end. I don't want to even read it because I don't want the process to end. So I haven't even started. So we'll see. I might just read On the Come Up and let Concrete Rose kind of sit there for another year, but we'll see. I really want to read both of them. So maybe I'll just do, maybe if Angie Thomas like announces that she's gonna have a new book, then I'll feel okay about it because then I'll have something else to look forward to. So we'll see. But I'm already trying to back myself out of this commitment. But I think I can do it. I can read both of those. And then the next two books are also in a series, which is The Last Hour series by Cassandra Clare. These are kind of mashed potato books. I have been kind of putting them off. I always put off her books because I don't want them to end. But I finally read the whole Dark Artifices series last year and absolutely loved them. They are my favorite Cassandra Clare series. Lady Midnight, favorite Cassandra Clare books, one of my all-time favorite books. So it was a very rewarding treat when I finally read it. So I've partly been putting it off because of that, but also I don't really like the short story collections, and I need to read Ghost of the Shadow Market before I read this one. So it's actually like 3 books that I have to read, one of which I'm not really enthusiastic about. And I tried listening to the audiobook of it last year. I just wasn't in the right place to listen to it. So I'm gonna try again this year, just power through, because they usually end up being good short stories. It's not like it's a total waste. It's just they're kind of 50-50. Some are great and some are very hard to get through. But then I can get to this series that I've been very, very excited about and maybe read it in time for the new book. Probably not. But I'll definitely at least get through these 2 books. And then there's, it's all series, by the way, now that I'm going through them. The next one is the Serpent and Dove series. And again, we'll see if I get through the whole series. Even if I just read the first book, I'll be happy. And this is just one that I just know I'm gonna love. It's a fantasy romance, and that's my jam. So I know that I'm gonna love it, which is why I've been putting it off. So that's it for the mashed potato books. And then the next thing that I want to tackle is there's a few books that I have hanging that I started in the past and then just never finished. I just lost interest in them. Not that I wasn't enjoying them. It's like I saw a new shiny book and I wanted to go read that one. So then I forgot about those ones. So those would be Dune by Frank Herbert. I was loving it. There was no reason for me to stop reading it. Way of Kings, I've technically been reading that book for 3 years. Luckily, when it comes to reading, I remember everything very well, so I don't have to start from the beginning. I'm only like 200 pages away from the end too. I just slowly like pick it up here and there when I feel like it. So definitely have to finish that. And then there's a Miles Morales omnibus that I was reading that covers his whole initial run as written by Brian Michael Bendis. So I want to finish that, which comics, I'll get to that pretty fast. A general reading goal is just to read 50 books. Now, there's only been 1 year in the history of me using Goodreads that I've actually met my reading goal, but I think, and I've never made my reading goal 50 books, it would be the most I've ever read in a year, but I want something to kind of push me a little bit more, because last year I just kept putting down books left and right. So to go hand in hand with that, I also want to finish the books that I start. Now, that's not to say that I can't DNF, but I need to give books more of a shot. Like I would put down a book after a couple chapters, and that's okay too, but I just need to finish books, because it's not satisfying to go through and be like, oh, I only physically read 4 books last year, 3 of which were from the same series. So I think 50 is a solid, achievable goal, especially because I've been listening to a lot more audiobooks. I'm finally starting to find audiobooks that I want to listen to that I can focus on better, and I'm finding a good pace with that. So I feel confident, especially with my next goal. I like how they're all just naturally just going into each other. It's great. My next goal is to read more comics, so more graphic novels and trade paperbacks. So that, I think that justifies 50. I think I can do more than 50, honestly, if I'm reading comics consistently enough. And the reason I want to read comics more is that it's one of my loves that I've kind of abandoned. And I was talking to Dustin, my boyfriend, about my reading and whatnot maybe a couple months ago, and he said that's something that he would like for me to start reading again, because he really liked when we talked about comics. And it's true, I do miss having those conversations about it, because it is something that initially bonded us, and when we do talk about it, we talk a lot. Like when we saw the new Spider-Man, I'm not gonna tell you which one, they all have home, I get all the titles confused, but the new Spider-Man Far From Home, is that the one? We talked about it for days after we saw it, and we just kept going, and we just kept talking about it, and it just naturally came up all the time, and I loved it, and I missed it, so I want to be able to have those conversations again. So I'm really excited to be reading more comic books, and then you guys can hear about it too. And that's one thing that I want to kind of contribute on my channel, is that I've noticed that a lot of people feel really intimidated to start with superheroes because they don't know where to start, and it just feels like superheroes have too much of a history. So I want to show you that superheroes are very accessible and they're really fun to read. Like there's great indie comics, and those can be cool because you can just jump right in from the beginning and it's really easy to figure out where to jump in. But superheroes have really great, impactful, meaningful stories as well that I really think people should be reading. So look forward to that content coming soon, which brings me to my last, most exciting, most ambitious goal, which is to finally write a novel. I just went through some of my writing documents and I realized that I have been participating in NaNoWriMo since 2018. That's when I really decided that, okay, it's time to sit down and actually start trying to write. And I have not finished a novel. I keep giving up on them. I have really bad imposter syndrome. I find reasons to get out of them, or they're just not working for me. So this is going to be the year that I finish a novel. And the most exciting thing is that right now I have a story. I started it last year and I kind of gave up on it, but I didn't realize how good it is, honestly. Looking back at all the notes that I had made and what I had outlined, I'm really happy with what I created so far. Like, looking at it, that is a story that I would personally love to read. So this is, I think, the most confident I've ever felt in my ability to finish a story, and I can't wait to do it, and I'll bring you guys along on the journey. I feel really positive about this year, and I'm hoping that this video is something that I can revisit and see how much I've grown and remember, where I was a year ago and see the changes, and I'll revisit it on the channel, and it'll all be very exciting. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already yet, I would super appreciate it if you give the thumbs up, subscribe, maybe leave a comment, and just help with engagement so I can grow my channel. And I'll see you in the next video.